There are two kinds of people in this world. The people who fail to do what they know they should, and those who keep doing things they know they shouldn't. Guess what? You're both. Hi, I'm your host, life and business coach, Marcy Barker, aka your loving kick in the pants. In this podcast, I'll teach you the 6 steps of my accountability code that will help you wake up with clarity and show up with aligned action steps that make follow through easy and peaceful. All right, let's jump in. Good morning, my beautiful people. I am here in my car, which is my podcast recording studio, and my car was plugged in, and I started recording, and it was not working. You guys, can you imagine if I recorded an entire podcast episode and it didn't even record? That used to happen to me more than you think. Not with my podcast, but back when I started my business in 2015, I did a ton of videos, and Aubrey, my husband, wanted to make them look super professional, so he did. We had a green screen, we had a teleprompter, we had lights and everything, and there was more than one occasion where I would record this whole video, one take with no mess ups, and then the audio didn't transfer. And I'd like to say thank you for those opportunities because it made me who I am today. No, really, when I was making videos, Aubrey he was very good about making sure that things were done correctly according to the strategies and the education that we were learning. And so he'd be like, that was a really good video, but can you change this word? And sure enough, I would go through the whole thing again and change one word. And that was actually before we got a teleprompter. I didn't get a teleprompter till a couple years ago when I had to make like 70 videos for my website. So today, we're going to talk about email marketing because I am having a business meeting at my house. I don't even know if I should call it a business meeting. Okay, so you guys know that I moved from Utah to South Carolina, and I've been here 1 year. This week it will be 1 year, which is crazy. And I am just like, you know what? I'm ready to get out there. I'm ready to make some business friends, and I'm ready to just make more friends in general because I'm very extroverted and I thrive when I have communities to be a part of. So I found this Facebook group. It has 33,000 people for my area. And I said, hey, where are my women in business? Because I want to get together every other week. And guess what? Over 90 women showed interest. And so now I'm having 22 women over tomorrow, and we're talking about how to grow your business using emails. And email marketing is something that I learned a long time ago. It was one of the first things I learned as I was growing my business. When I started my business 9 years ago, I flew like 8 times in the first year going to these different conferences that were going to help me learn internet marketing. That's where I started because, believe it or not, 10 years ago, nobody was really doing personal training on the internet, and there was a gap for me, and we did it. So at this meetup tomorrow, we're going to talk about emails, and I know that not all of you listening to this are business owners, but a good portion of you are. So I'm going to go through kind of my little schedule for tomorrow and just kind of give you a couple tips here and there. And then I also want you to keep in mind, my fall program is starting September 2nd. So we have about a month until the next program gets off the ground. So if you're the kind of person who's like, I love a challenge, I love to learn, I want a little bit of help, I need validation for my ideas to see if it's even worth it, and then I need hand-holding and a loving kick in the pants, then my program's probably right for you. So in the next few weeks, I'll talk more about my program, but the best thing you can do is book a call with me. We can talk about your goals and your needs, and we can put together a plan of what the best pieces of action for you would be. So in this little email class tomorrow, it's not even an email class. It's really like, I just want to get to meet people and see who's out here and see what their needs are. And I just picked email because I'm doing a collaboration with my friend Melissa, who does strictly email marketing. And so she's going to help people in my Lady Bosses group do that. So email is just kind of the main focus right now. But I'm really excited about it because these goals, these aspects of growing your business can be applied to different areas. So even if you're like not gung-ho emailing your list every single week, these are still very good points to consider when it comes to growing your business. Because if you don't have clients or customers, you don't really have a business, because your business can't bring in anything if nobody's buying anything from you. So very first step, define your goals. You have to know what exactly you're trying to do. And believe it or not, I had some people who were like, I'm not interested in this meetup because I'm not interested in the topic of emails. And I was like, totally fine, which means they know at this point in time, email marketing is not a part of their goals. So number 2, you got to build your email list. Now, this can be as simple as collecting emails in a spreadsheet. And that also sounds like a nightmare to me, but you would be surprised at how many people start their email list like this because they want to sell something, they're trying to gain a clientele, but they haven't yet decided on a marketing or a CRM, a customer relationship management tool, or a platform. So sometimes your email list really is like just documenting the emails of the people that you've already worked with. So step number 3, you got to choose an email marketing platform. If you guys have been around me for a long time, you guys know that Aubrey, my husband, built Member Pages. And so that's a really good, fantastic CRM because he built it for me years ago. In 2018, actually, is when he built it for me. And email marketing is just like 1/100th of all the things that Member Pages can do. But having an email platform is really necessary in order to grow your email list and to automate it. Because let's be real, it's not scalable if you're selling a program with Google Docs and you're manually emailing people all of the information. That just is a time waster. And I would say also a time drainer. So next step is segment your audience. And this segment kind of seems like a word we don't use all the time, but think about buckets and having different people in different buckets based on their interests and what they're coming to your business for. So one example of segmenting your list is I can go into my list if I wanted to. I haven't done this yet, but it probably is a goal of mine. So Lady Bosses, I changed the name of my Facebook group. It's not Lady Bosses of Utah anymore because I want to grow. I want to expand. So Lady Bosses, the Facebook group, is called Business Growth and Friendship. So when I start to do events so I can grow the same business, I can begin to say this part of my email list is Utah people and this part of my list is South Carolina people. So that way when I have another event at my house, it would be so bad for me to email my whole list and say I'm having an event, and people from Utah click on the email and they're like, South Carolina? Like, I'm not going to go to South Carolina for this event that's like $50. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So if I segment my list, that means within my email system, I can tag or specify who I want to send an email to just by selecting that tag. So segmenting your audience is also a really good way to help people move down the list if they're interested. So if I have, 1,000 people that opted into my audiobook, well, only a percentage of them have texted me back about if they've even opened the book and started it. And then another smaller percentage is people who have actually responded to me showing more interest based on their progress in the book. So if you segment your audience, then you can do a better job at serving your clientele. So that's really important.
Hey listeners, the message of waking up and showing up is yours for the taking. In fact, it's free. I've recorded my entire audiobook and I'd love for you to consume it between episodes. Head to marcybarker.com to get instant access to the accountability code Wake Up and Show Up. All right, let's jump back in.
Number 5, craft engaging content. Now, craft makes it sound like it's really hard because I'm not a crafter, I'm not creative, but really what we want to do is make sure that your emails are personalized. Make sure you have a picture of you if you're forward facing in your brand or your storefront or the product, so that when people get an email from you, they make that connection of awareness that this email is coming from something they were already interested in. Also, emails require really good titles because people are not going to open an email unless the title is something that interests them. So you have to consider that when you are emailing your list. Next thing is design your emails. And I love this step because once you design an email that looks good, you can use it over and over and over and over again. And in Member Pages, my CRM, there's so many templates that you can just pull up and start plugging in your information. So I just go into Canva and I create a footer for my email and I plug it into a template in Member Pages. And anytime I want to send out an email, I just pull up that template and it's good to go. So, but designing your emails also can help you have a specific format for the kind of information you want to send out. So one of the things I learned a long time ago when I went to one of those internet marketing conferences was every single email I used to send out had 3 different links in it. All of the links were the same. They would go to the same place, but I could tell based on which link my client would click what sort of hook got them. So the first sentence in the email had to do with curiosity, so something that piqued their interest. The second link had something to do with a direct benefit of like, you should click here because this is exactly what you're going to get. And then the last link was FOMO, or, back before FOMO was a saying, fear of missing out, it was scarcity. So give them a reason to click on the email now, because if they don't, they might miss what you're talking about. So designing your emails and having that template set forth, it makes email writing really, really easy. Next step is automate your campaigns. Now, this one sounds kind of like, duh, automate them, but you, again, would be so surprised at how many people have an email list, but they don't have anything in place just because they haven't done the work to put it together. So an example of automating your campaigns, on this podcast, I tell you guys, you can opt in to get my audiobook. My entire book is completely free in audio format if you guys want it. When people opt into that, guess what? I don't have to manually send it to people. Like, this has been set up for years, and it's really nice because if you were going to go to my website, marcybarker.com, and get my free book, you would put your name and your email and your phone number in there, and I have set it up so it's completely automated. When you put your information in there, you will get a text and you will get an email that says, hey, thanks for getting the book, download this app, here's your member login. And then there's a few emails that come after that, but more importantly, there's a few text messages that come after that, because one, I want to make sure that you access the audiobook okay, and I also want to make sure that you're getting started on the audiobook, because you would also be surprised at how many people download a book or a freebie or something and they never actually open it. So having automated campaigns in place is a really good way for me to nurture my clients, but not me personally, because that would be draining. I mean, my book has been out for 2.5 years now. If I had to manually send somebody information every time I got an opt-in, that's not how you run a successful business. So let your system work for you. All right, next one, there's 3 more, is to test and optimize. So this is really getting an idea of what is working and what's not. So if you send out 5 emails and you never actually go back and look at which ones were opened the most and which ones were neglected the most, then you might be creating content that people don't like. And guess what? That is also a time drainer. It also has a way of chipping away at your confidence, because you're like, I'm doing all this stuff, but it's not working. That's why you have to test it, because testing tells you what's working and what's not. The second to last tip is comply with regulations. And there are a lot of different rules that come with sending out emails, because this is how we protect consumers. You guys know, I'm sure you have all experienced this, where you get an email and you're like, who the heck is this? Or it just is straight up looks like spam. Or, those like Costco gift card things that went around, they were sending out emails, and if you looked at the email address, Costco was spelled wrong. And it's just because people can get away with it. So good email providers and good business owners comply with regulations. Also, because when you do that, your emails hit more inboxes and they go to spam less. So there's a whole lot of things that you got to do to comply with regulations. But the good thing is, once you set it up, you don't have to worry about it until there's a big change later. But it is really important for you to do, because you want to create and maintain trust with your clientele. The very last thing is you got to nurture your list. And this is where, in the podcasting world, people call it pod fade, because they start a podcast and then they get just kind of trickle out. And this is actually very common with people in their email list too, that they get stuff going and then they take a break in business, or things aren't automated, or they're not making sales, and then they just lose their vigor to nurture their email list. And you guys, I would be lying if I told you that never happened to me, because I've been in business 9 years. You better believe I have not emailed my list every week for 9 years. That would be an amazing feat, but I haven't done that. So when it comes to nurturing your list, really it just is all about adapting and doing your best, but also, like, I love to sit down and just create 13, 14 emails for the whole quarter and just make sure they're scheduled out, because then I just need to be present in certain places while my CRM is doing the work for me. So anyway, I think that emails are really, really great. And if you think about your own email inbox, it's a pretty sacred place. It's not something that you just let people come in and look at what's in your email. So email marketing is still very much alive and well, even though some people will tell you that it's not. But I mean, we all use this email literally every day. So if we can get into the minds and the spaces of people who want to hear from us and who are interested in the same things we are, then that's a really good way to start collaborating with people and to find really awesome clients. So that is all. I love that I have this podcast now because I can send it to people who are interested or are dabbling with different parts of their business growth, because as a life and business coach, I'm here to support you in whatever those goals are and to teach you how to apply the accountability code so that follow through becomes easy and peaceful. So if you have any questions at all, or if you want to talk about something hard you're going through, or you have a goal, or you just need some extra support or a loving kick in the pants, then I hope you know where to find me. So we will talk to you next week for another episode of Your Loving Kick in the Pants.
Hey friends, I want to thank you for listening to this episode of Your Loving Kick in the Pants. If you got any value out of this episode, I would love for you to drop me a review or share with a friend what you learned. All right, I'll see you next Wednesday for Your Loving Kick in the Pants.